All right, guys, good afternoon. Looking back on last night's performance, thought really all three phases played a role in us being able to win the game. But once again, defensively, a lot of really good things on the tape. Thought Flo and the guys did a great job putting together a game plan, playing a team, for the second time and doing some really good things. Playing fast. I thought the crowd was huge. Our guys up front getting off the ball with all that crowd noise. Was a real winning edge for us, like our home environment always is. So, really happy to be coming in today with our 12th win. But heck of a challenge on a short week going to Seattle. Mike's got a really good football team. They're really well coached and very tough environment to go play in. So we gotta turn the page here. We've already done that. We're pushing forward. One of the things I did want to highlight just came to my attention. We have 7 player-led community events going on today, which is remarkable on a short week. So proud of our guys for continuing to make an emphasis on that. We have obviously CJ being our man of the year, but we have so many guys that make an impact in the community, and that's very, very important to me, our ownership, and just our organization for what those guys do in the community. Want to just update you guys on some injuries. Obviously, we had Brian with the knee return to the game. He's sore, but should be able to work through the week, and expecting to have him available. Pat Jones was available to return to the game as well. And then had a couple guys. Fabian Moreau ended up coming in with some hip soreness. So we'll see how he handles the week and kind of works through it. We are expecting to have Steph Gilmore working back in and potentially be available this week. And then Jalen Redmond, very late in the game, did get kind of identified by the independent and was put into the concussion protocol, but did come in feeling really good today. So he'll go through that protocol throughout the week and hoping to have him available, but that'll be strictly a medical thing as he works through that. Did want to just, in addition to the game balls we gave out post-game, a guy that jumped off the tape, and he doesn't know this yet, but Josh Matelis will get a game ball tomorrow from me at the team meeting. Huge for our captain to be flying around, lined up 1,000 different spots, and impacted the game inside, outside, second level, all those things. So wanted to highlight Josh.
Kevin, just in terms of Josh, how important has he been to that unit with Ivan out the last few weeks?
Yeah, I think it can't be understated, just his role within our defense. Yes, he's a safety, but you guys see it, he lines up everywhere, so many different jobs. And the way he handles it, snap to snap, is probably the most important thing. Because a lot of guys, you play the same spot, get into a rhythm, you start seeing tendencies and tells. He's got to be able to do those things from 2 or 3 different spots, which his football IQ is off the charts. Play style is always there. He's been really, really good for us. So I think him and the impact that Jamin Davis has been able to have as well, just physicality, running hit player that's been showing up too as well.
How's IP doing for his recovery?
Yeah, he's doing well. He's right on schedule. He'll kind of go through some simulated work on, with the trainers this week, simulating what he would, do in a practice this week. Timeline of that designation would be, I believe, next week. So hoping to, he's on schedule with that.
I know you mentioned Dallas Turner last night, but just what do you think of that move that he did on the tackle?
Yeah, good player too. Right's a pretty darn good right tackle, and I think you saw a little bit of everything: the speed, the burst, the bend, turning the corner like that. That's just a glimpse of what I think is going to show up a lot in Dallas's future, and he's going to continue to get more and more ops here as we try to keep our defense fresh down the stretch here, and it's good to see for sure.
Sam had that throw to Justin near the goal line, 17, 18 yards.
Yeah.
What goes into the level of anticipation that Sam had to, I guess if you freeze the video, you don't even see Justin in the frame?
Yeah, no, I thought that was a great example of part of throwing with anticipation is trusting in the way we talk about plays, where it's not necessarily is a guy open. It's more about voids and vacancies and throwing people into those, and that's what anticipation's all about. Sam's done a great job of that. on a lot of outbreaking routes this year. And as we've progressed throughout the season, more and more times it's shown up on some of those in-breakers where it could get noisy in there, especially down in that area. Actually, that wasn't really on the sheet in the red zone. It was just kind of in the moment. Just thought, going fast there and getting a chance to get Justin some free access and get him in there. And if we had to check the ball down, I think J.O. was kind of underneath on the other side. We could, but I loved how aggressive he was. It was all about feet and eyes, timing, rhythm. Because if you hesitate at all right there, that's probably at the best case scenario for us, a deflection. And obviously there could be worse outcomes than that. So I just thought the aggressiveness to turn it loose and how he did it, the throw, decisive, firm, was phenomenal.
What about the other side? Like, does Justin need to know that or have to adjust, or like, do they have to be thinking together, like, or is he just running a route?
Yeah, there was a similar play kind of earlier in the game, I should say, where Sam kind of turned it loose the same way, and it was just a little out in front. So I think Justin got a feel for it in that moment that he's going to pull the trigger, and it was kind of a similar look that we got. And, really good play by Sam, but Justin, fearlessly going in there right on the front line. That's not made for everybody.
What's the coaching process like of giving a guy the confidence to know that he can make that throw, and then also kind of teaching the moments of, hey, when to use some discretion to pull back from it?
Yeah, to me it comes back to what we've talked about. It's the principles of like certain plays, the technique fundamentals, the details of Sam's job in that moment, and then the identification of the void. And we talk about big field vision of a quarterback, and sometimes it means being able to see some of those things while there's pressure or push in your face. Sometimes it's just kind of understanding that void's there. It might not particularly feel like it to the common eye, but if you feel it and the receiver's going to, go in there and take that grass, we're going to have ability to throw a completion. And it was a 2nd and long, I think, at the time, and to get it in a position to run it in on the very next play, I thought, you go from being in potentially a 3rd and longer situation to 1st and goal at the 1. It's a big deal.
Is there a process with quarterbacks of letting them trust themselves to make that throw? And it seems like in some cases, if you're worried about negative consequences, you're probably not going to have the assertiveness to do that.
Yeah, and there definitely is, but to me, Ben, it just goes back to even if something were to negatively happen right there, if he takes great footwork, which he did, and he comes off and says, I felt like there was a void in there, that can sometimes be the Monday morning debate or Tuesday morning debate, whether there really was or wasn't. But that's where you got to trust, with the amount of reps he's logged now, the trust and the confidence he has in not only Justin, but Jordan and TJ and Speedy and, really our whole skill group. You got to give guys the ability to let it rip sometimes. Otherwise, you're when it matters the most, if there's any hesitancy there, you're not going to have a chance. So it's all part of building up, our offense, not just Sam, but our offense to the point where the elite execution can show up, snap in and snap out, and we can overcome some of the plays that the defense does make, which Bears have a good defense. They made some plays. They forced some negatives. We were able to overcome it enough to score 30 points. There's a lot of things we can fix and get better at, me included. So, but it's been a heck of a lot more beneficial to do that, coming off of, for the most part, winning games this year. So we're growing. We're getting better, and we got to do that on a short week this week.
You guys clinched in a kind of a weird timing, at least, a playoff spot on the Sunday night game.
Yeah.
Give yourself, I assume you're watching the game with your next 2 opponents there, but do you give yourself a moment for any satisfaction or celebration or party or anything after that moment?
No, there was not that. The next time I saw the team was yesterday morning. A lot of times we have a team meeting on the morning of night games, just so the guys can get rest and not have to hear my voice for one day, even though they technically still did. But yeah, I acknowledged it in front of the team, congratulated them, and then once I was done with that opening sentence, we moved on to what it was going to take to beat the Bears. So I think what's made this team really special from day one, Kevin, is just they handle their business with what's right in front of them. And whether we clinched or not, this team's just worried about the next game, and we're gonna continue to do that.
Kevin, how much of that comes from just everything you're saying, and how much of that comes from the players staying in the moment?
Yeah, I think it's a byproduct of me, being consistent with that message to the point now where every once in a while I may catch an eye roll. He's saying it again type of thing, but now it does feel in a lot of ways like our players have taken on that identity of our team, and it helps us. It helps with how we practice, how we walk through, with lifts, and guys getting treatment and getting turned over on a short week. Everything's got to be in place. Everything's got to be surgical with that mindset. Otherwise, the mindset doesn't exist at all.
When you're kind of going through the process of keeping guys fresh now, how do you go about, what are the best tools you have at your disposal? Is it pulling guys from games early if you have the opportunity to do it, like last week, practice stuff? How do you kind of handle all of those things?
Yeah, it's probably the hardest thing to do, especially when you're tied for the best record and in the conference, and you're trying to see if you can take this thing to a place where you could possibly get that 1 seed. It's going to be very competitive, but at the same time, you got to pick your spots. I thought we had a great padded Wednesday practice last week, which I think led into our defensive performance because we were physical, we were flying around, but then we took the tempo down on Thursday and let them turn over, and then we had 2 great days of work Friday and Saturday. Now it's a totally different week, different preparation, and these guys have to feel that they're getting the same amount of preparation, even though we've got really 2 less days when you think about it. So the way I look at it is we just gotta. That's how I put together the practice week. Flo and I spend a lot of time together, making sure that I've got total awareness of how he sees things. He's got great experience, playing deep into January on into February, and I just remember some of the things we went through in 2021, just with some real impactful players that we were trying to make sure we stayed fresh. All well, because of the month of November we had that year, we really had to, we won our, basically 9 out of our last 10 to win the whole thing. So it's a balance, and whatever we can do to get our team ready to roll tactically, but also physically for 60 minutes every week is what we're going to do. There's no perfect way to do it, but a lot of communication with the players on a one-on-one level, group level, team level, me laying out the expectations of the week. And then, like these guys have always done, they meet those, and then some.
Kevin, would there be any moments in the coming weeks when you would address that number 1 seed or division title to the players, or would that just be violating your?
I think it'll come, when we have an opportunity to do that, and we won't have an opportunity to do that probably until we have an opportunity to go 1-0 that week. So I think it'll be pretty easy for me to sequence that up, but easier said than done as far as the schedule. I mean, we've got some really tough opponents down the stretch here, and all teams that are very capable of competing well on into the postseason, and it's very important that we treat this game with the urgency that it deserves, because it's a really good team on the road, fighting for their playoff life, and we're going to get their best shot. We got to make sure they get ours.
I feel like we ask you about Brian O'Neill a lot, just
Yeah.
fighting through that last night, and just what has he meant to you and this team, not only just last night but as a whole? Yeah,
it'd be hard, especially considering, the fact that I think sometimes because of what Cam's been able to do, we forget that we haven't had CD in there, who he's one of our best players and most impactful players, and I think just the consistency at which Brian has played is a whole separate conversation. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves for just how phenomenal he's played this year. But then there's an entire separate conversation, like I said, about who he is in this building, what he means, as a captain of our team. How many times I turn to him in moments to communicate and really get the pulse of our team from him. And then in a moment like that where, not once but twice, really has some, plays that were on tape, they're pretty scary to watch. And, he's able to tape it up and come back in there and just stay in the fight, as he said. And they told me he was going to, we'd probably have to start the second half without him. And then more than likely he'd get back in there. And we didn't miss a beat when he came back in. So can't say enough about him. Love everything about what he means to me, our offense, and our team.
Last one.
Kevin, with Aaron Jones, there's been a few times where he's caught checkdowns and turned those into big plays.
Yeah.
Is there something about his game specifically that makes him an additional weapon in those situations?
Yeah, he's got a great feel for just in space, how to, I think last night was a perfect example of, the game at that point on those third and longer situations. It's all about angles and trying to maximize every inch because we needed it on that play. I thought there were some other times in the game where, we probably could have checked it down to him and who knows what he could have gotten. I think every time we see those on tape, I think it's registering with Sam of I'm going to be able to put the ball in play to this guy, and he's phenomenal with the ball in his hands. And I thought there were really good examples. TJ got a block on that play. It was kind of similar to what we did in Chicago, a little different with how it was put together, but just trying to have we're a little backed up. We're the shadow of our own end zone a little bit, and just try to put the ball in play to a guy that can maybe go do something with it. And what's the play style look like everybody else on the field in conjunction with Aaron's kind of super, super rare ability to, find a way to get 17.5 yards on that play. So thought it was a huge play in the game. Thanks, guys.